Flora Post have been given an expensive education and full of team sports. When her parents died of a sudden illness within a few weeks of each other, in her 20th year, Flora would discover to possess every skills from her parents, except that of earning enough to live on. With an income of £100 per year and no property, she decided therefore to stay with Miss Mary Smiling at a house in Lambeth, a fashionable part in London, until she could make up her mind where she and her £100 a year should go.
Hey Flora, come in, nice to see you. As you can see, these are the properties that my husband left to me. So I'm really glad, and I'm so miss you, my friends. And would you like some tea or drinks?
I would love tea.
Okay, sit down and feel yourself home.
Oh.
Yes.
Since Flora spent most of her childhood with Mary, she felt therefore as if she was returning home.
Here's your tea.
Thank you.
What's your funeral food?
Yeah, it was dreadful, and I must leave all the relationships to enjoy it.
And did any of them want you to go and live with them? I just want to warn you, darling, because relations will always want us to live with them. Of course, you can go to live with me, and I hope that you can enjoy and living with me. And I hope that one day you will have a little flat house of your own and want to get some new jobs.
What kind of job, Marie?
Well, organizing job that I used to do, darling. But don't ask me what it is, because I have forgotten it already, because it's so long that I did it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that you can do it. You can be a journalist or accountant.
Well, Marie, I'm afraid I could not do those kind of things.
Don't be silly. You know perfectly that you will be miserable if you haven't got a job. So, what will you live on?
No, my relations. You know, Marie,
I'm 19 now, and I have observed that there's a Polish prejudice to live in one friend's house.
and I think it's respectful to ask for one relations to provide a home. There is unmarried cousins of my father living in Scotland.
There's a sister of my mother living in Worthing on the south coast, and there's also cousins of my mother living in Washington, and there's also some distant cousins living in Sussex.
Sussex, I don't really like the sound of that already. Do they live in dreadful muddy farms?
Well, Marie, I will try them when all else fails. I will try to write a letter explaining them my situations, and whether I could ask them to provide a home in an exchange of my beautiful eyes and my £100 per year to live on.
Flora, you are married. Why? You would be died after the first week. You know that neither of us had been able to put up with the relation, and you must stay with us no matter what. Stay with me, and you can learn to type, and then you can be somebody's secretary, and you can buy a little flat of your own, and then we can have parties together.
You know, Marie, I hate parties. I have decided, and I want to ask you whether I should write a copy of letter and send to each relations.
No, I don't think so. You should not do it like that. You should write it separately.
Okay, I will write them tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, now, do you want to have a new celebrations of my new life?
Of course, let's go.
Okay.
After writing to her relation, 3 days later, 4 letters arrived for Flora.
Let's see.
The first one was from Aunt Gwen from Worthing, was pleased to offer Flora a home.
Oh my god.
Mr. Magnat from Scotland also offered to shelter Flora under his roof, but feared that it would be a little dull for her in his home as he was frequently ill and the house was 10 kilometers from the nearest village.
Why so? Let's see.
The third letter was from her mother's cousin from Kensington, who invited her also, but it would involve sharing a bed, this time with a cage bird, an old and much loved parrot.
Hopeless.
Here comes the fourth dirty letter.
Wow, it's so interesting. Dear Flora, we have shelter and sunset. I gotta choose this. It's so interesting.
So Flora decided to resign herself to a long, dull journey.
Where you going? Sussex.
Suddenly, a shadow fell across the farm. Adam stood fearfully.
Adam.
Yes, Miss Judith.
Judith Starkadder made an impatient movement with her large hands. She was an impressive figure, with black hair wrapped by red scarf and some falling untidily onto her bitter, beautiful shoulders.
You know, Mrs. Starkadder has been comparing us with other farms in this area. So we should work harder. And another thing, you will have to go to Beations to meet a child. Robert Poscher will come here to stay with us for a while.
Must I? Oh, don't send me. I beg, do not send me. It is 65 years since I last rode a bicycle. It might be have an accident.
No, you must go. You must go. And you will have to forget what you know, as we all must, while she's here.
Couldn't Master CHHET go instead of me?
No, Adam, you must go. Don't you remember? Don't you remember when CHHET went to meet the new kitchen girls? So you must go.
What is that? Oops. Oh,
Is that you, Robert Poscher?
yes, I'm Robert Postel. I'm Flora Post. And who are you?
I'm Madame Lambret, Robert Poscher.
Now, shall we start if you are ready?
Yes. Get on, Robert Poscher.
Okay.
Her journey had been long and rather uncomfortable, and she felt depressed at what she might find at Cone Comfort. She felt relief at the moment she had packed her dearly loved copy of Thoughts of Father Bertrand. It would be easier to meet the CHHET in a proper and civilized way if she were guided by the thoughts.
Is it you? Cousin Judith?
It's Robert Paul's child. All right. This way, Miss Paul.
This is the room, Miss Post.
I just wanted to know if you would like me to amuse myself or you want to make other arrangement for me. Personally, I think it would be much easier for a guest to find her own way of passing the time. And I believe you are too much busy to bother looking after me.
Busy? Busy waiting to die? So do what you please, Miss Robert Post-child. As long as you don't interrupt my loneliness, give us time. And I will put right the wrong that my man did to your father. Give us all time.
You would not care to tell me what the wrong was? I believe it would make matters easier.
My lips are sealed, Miss Post.
As you like, Cousin Judith. But I wanted to know if I could pay you for my food and living expense. And I would like to tell you that I have only 100 pounds of my own.
Keep it. We will never touch Robert Post's money. While you are here, you are the guest of Cold Comfort.
Wow, that's very kind of you. Anyway, I simply love this bed, but I wanted to ask you if you don't mind having my bed washed, and I'm sure you will.
Bed? Child. It's been many years since we have washed the bed. Adam's oil are not strong enough. I suppose Mariam, the headboard girl living next to us, might be about to help. And Shy's girl are like Phil's animal. She will be working tomorrow. You can ask if you wish.
If Flora lived at Cold Comfort as a guest, it would be extremely rude of her to interfere in the family's way of life. But if she paid for herself, she could interfere as she liked.
And anyway, my sons are waiting to see you.
How nice of them. I think it's all the same. I will see them tomorrow. And I would like Adam to send this telegram for me.
Okay.
When alone at her room, Flora stepped carefully through the unpleasant-smelling furniture, tidying up the including dusty pillow. She felt more cheerful when she remembered that, in addition to Father Bertrand's thoughts, she had brought with another copy of her Higher Common Sense by the same author. The thoughts were helpful with everyday routine difficulties, but the Higher Common Sense provided a guide for civilized people facing a really serious problem of either kind. There comes the time for breakfast. Cold light at the doorway. Amos, Seth, Reuben, Judith, and Flora came into the kitchen. The human passions in them seemed deeply hidden. When all starcatters were sitting down, shadows darkened the dark. They all ate breakfast in silence. Judith only pretended to eat her porridge, looking all the time with burning eyes at Seth.
Where's our friend?
She's not yet up. I did not wake her. She's no help to me in the morning.
It's a godless habit to lie in bed on the working day. And those who will burn in hell for it. So will those who have an unlawful sex. And so will those who are just waiting and hoping to step into that man's shoes.
Silence returned to the kitchen, and after breakfast, all the men went back to working in the fields. Adam left alone in the kitchen with his task to wash the dirty dishes.
Oh gosh, you clean this with just one stick?
Yes.
Tomorrow I'll buy you a mop. Shush.
After 2 days at Sokhom farm, later by lunchtime, the dusty, dirty farmhouse and her truly awful relations have made Flora feel quite depressed, which was unusual as it was unpleasant. She decided therefore to cheer herself up by
I prepared tea myself. Probably the stockholders aren't used to do something civilized.
Just as she poured the hot water into the teapot, a shadow down the doorway. There stood Reuben, looking at her preparation with an expression of amazing and anger.
Reuben, how do you do? Do come in. Do you have milk or sugar?
Reuben said nothing. His head was full of confused thoughts and questions he could not answer.
A woman. Had she come to take away his land, the land that would be his when his father died, the land he loved, the dark earth of the field under rain, the swelling of seeds into green plants, and smell and cry of cows? They were his, all his.
Here is your tea. Do come in. Adam can speak the Dutch later.
Defeated, Reuben came in. He stood at the table, staring at Flora and blowing heavily on his tea to cool it. Flora did not mind but was rather sorry for him. To Flora, it's quite interesting. It's like she's having tea with a bowl. Of all the star-catters, Reuben seemed to enjoy the least. Amos had religion, Judith had Seth, Adam had his dumb creatures, Elfin danced about on the hills, while Seth went mole marking. But poor Reuben didn't seem to have any such interest.
I clutched 5 fields today.
Did you?
I did too. 5 fields without a man to help me. I would like to know if you have done that, wouldn't you?
No, indeed. I wouldn't want to.
This innocent confession had a surprise effect on Reuben. He pushed his face forward, staring fiercely into hers.
Wouldn't? So you take farm, hire a guy with a good money, and wasting the farm's money.
Indeed, I wouldn't care whether the fears weren't scarlet at all. I'll let you do it.
Glad?
I would rather explain things that I don't want to farm.
In fact, she hesitated whether she should tell him. It seemed unbelievable to her that anyone could possibly want it, but decided this would be rude as well as unkind.
I know nothing about the farm. I would leave it to people like you who do. You must see that I am the last person in the world who would do squanting. You must believe me.
The expressions on Reuben's face was changing, but he did not reply. He banged up his cup down on the table and went out. With the last stare at Flora, she felt fairly satisfied with their conversation and hoped that he was beginning to believe that she had no intentions of taking the farm. Not long after Reuben left, a young man who could only be Seth came in.
How do you do? I guess you are too late for any tea.
What are you doing?
I was just cleaning your brother's cup.
Women's nonsense. Women are all alike. Nothing about this and that, but all he wants is a man's heart and his blood out of his soul and his pride.
Really?
That's what all women want. And when they got him all tied up in the soft ways and sweetness, do you know what they do then?
Flora thought silence was the best response to this. After all, his conversation was just a kind of game, a little battle of words in which each player tried to score points. It was a game that Flora was familiar from parties in London and elsewhere. However, she did not want to appear rude, so she smiled up at him and said,
I'm sure that's very interesting. So tell me, what are you doing in the evening since that?
I go to Vileak to go to the cinema there.
So you like them?
More than anything else in the whole world. More than mother, or the farm, or women. I got every photos of film stars that have been. I know their names, their voices. I know all about them. I can show you.
Oh, that's very interesting indeed.
but she said nothing of the plan that had come to her in a flash, and Seth suddenly decided he had been betrayed into talking about something else than love, and was angry. So he went out of the kitchen into the yard, leaving Flora to a quiet evening on her own. All this was pleasant enough. She had made a good start at tidying up the cold comfort. Meanwhile, there was Amos, who she had discovered from Adam that Amos preaches twice a week to the Church of Shaking Brothers, a religious group which meet up in Beershorn. She decided to accompany and begin working on him.
Amos, are you going to Beershorn tonight?
Yes, they all burn in hell. I must surely tell them so.
May I come too?
Yes, you can. You poor miserable guilty sinner. Maybe you think you can escape fire of hell? If you come with me and bow down to the dust. But it's too late. You will burn with all the other wicked sinners. You will have to say what the sin has been.
And do I have to say them out loud?
Yes, but not tonight. Oh. No, there will be too many saying their sin aloud tonight.
Yeah.
Yes, and there will be no time for the Lord to listen to a worship like you. And maybe the Spirit.
They started on their journey, and the first Amos was silent, and this was typical of Starkadder, none of whom had any general information. But this was a golden opportunity for Flora, who took it.
It must be so interesting to preach to brothers, cousin Amos, but do you prepare what you speak or you just make it up along the way?
There was a pause. The figure of Amos, seen beside her in the darkness, appeared to be swelling with anger, and Flora was relieved when he replied in a more or less control.
Don't speak of a Lord word in a godless way. It's no story. You invent children. It's not prepared before. It falls on minds straight from heaven.
Flora suddenly had a very good idea.
You must preach to wider than the brothers. Why do you waste your time on a miserable sinners in visions? You ought to buy a Ford van and go around the countries preaching on the market days.
She was sure that Amos would object to some of the changes she was planning to make to the farm. So it would be much easier for her to get things done if he were out of the way on a long preaching tour. At that moment, they arrived outside a small building next to the pub in Beershorn High Street. Flora took a seat at the front of the row near the exit, in case she felt like leaving early. A song was sung to remind the brothers of their name. No sooner than she had entered that she realized she had gone out of hellfire into an evening of boredom. It's been weeks since Flora Post came to the farm. Flora had gotten to know nearly all the Starkadders, except no one suggested introducing her to Aunt Ada Doom. Nevertheless, it's time for Flora Post to step in and start helping out members of the house. Reuben looked up as Flora came to him with the feedback across the yard from her morning walk.
I think it would be a good idea if you let them out. I mean the cows. For the air and exercise, you should not shut them up in a smelly dark air all day.
It's true. We must let them out on the field tomorrow. So you did well to go out with the old devil teacher.
Well, I'm not sure what you mean. If you are asking me if I'm going with cousins Amos to the vision meeting of Shaking Brothers, yes, I did.
Did the old devil say anything about me?
Yeah, the preaching was so powerful that I could not remember anything that was said, but I have advised him to preach to the wider audience around the country with a folk band.
It's more like frustrating the birds, harmless bird from the bushes.
You know, on the market days, if cousins Amos were away a good deal, someone would take care of the farm later.
With Flora's many observations and careful considerations about Alvin's dancing and her relationship, she finally stepped in to give Alvin a hand.
Alvin, are you engaged?
There's someone. We just don't want to ruin things by making definite arrangement. It's so horrible to take away anyone's freedom.
Oh, nonsense. It is very good idea. So, what do you do when that someone don't marry you?
Oh, I have got it all planned. I will go to get a job in a shop somewhere, maybe at the sea, and in my spare time I will do some painting and make things.
And that would be the most unsuitable. And so, what's the matter?
It's Eric. I think he wants to marry me, and Grandma intends to marry when I'm 18, and I just don't know what to do.
And does this someone knows about us?
Well, I told him, and he just said, "Bad luck, old girl."
Dick Hogmoney, isn't it? Does he seem to love you?
He does when I'm there, Flora, but I don't somehow think he thinks much about me when I'm not there. And there is his birthday dance, and I did really want to go because it's the 21st, but my grandmother would not allow me to go.
Now listen to me, Alvin. That would be an excellent plan if you went to this ball. I shall go too, to put an eyes on you. You just made your hair done and put your dress on that I bought for you. Some of my friends will take the invitations for you. And Seth and I will go with you to London altogether.
Flora's attempt to help Alvin was very successful. Alvin got engaged with Dick Hogmoney at the spot of the event. But upon their return, Andrea even awaits them at the farm.
Oh no, it's grandmother.
Oh, grandmother is going to stop me from getting married. Don't worry.
The great kitchen was full of people. They were all silent.
Something in the bush. This is Robert Paul's child. You have to greet your aunt Ada. I saw something in the woodshed. It's nasty. I saw something in the woodshed. It's not. I really saw it.
I will not leave.
Thanks, my boy. Where have you been? You've been
It's Richard's 21st birthday. Seth, Alvin, and I went together. And more than that, Anada, Alvin just got engaged, and she's going to get married in a month.
No one's leaving this house. I saw something nasty in the woodshed.
I must go. I have a lot calling me from the same field and the witch ball. Clapping the hand in prayer, and besides, I have to cut the coach to London, so I have no time to lose. Goodbye.
Suddenly, a terrible noise broke out in the kitchen behind them. The Starcatters was quarreling, but Flora never knew what it was about. She was already half asleep.
Robin, you are wonderful. Why do you help us?
Because you got the old devil out of the way for me. The farm will be mine now, surely.
So it will such fun for you.
After the counting, another member of the Starcatter finally gets to follow his dream. Seth was introduced to Flora's connection, Mr. Neck, and it's time for him to stop mole mocking and become a film star. There was much still to do at Cold Comfort before Flora could really say that the farmhouse was in a condition to satisfy Father Bertrand. There was problem of Judith, and there was old Adam, and then there was Aunt Ada Doom herself, the greatest problem of all. However, the higher common sense which she had brought along really worked and helped her resolve the remaining issues. Finally, Elfin's wedding has become a reality. In the wedding, it was a handsome old lady dressed from the head to the foot in the most elegant flying suit of dress. Charles, a person whom Flora loved for a long time, suddenly has arrived. And missed in silence, Flora went straight. They hold hands, and it's time to leave the Cold Comfort farm for good.
Ôi, bạch thằng đi ra sao?
Với tí vào.
Scaring the shit at all. Right.
Của anh với hai vô mỏ này, vô mỏ mỏ. Ô, mình sống bởi vì nó ốc chạm sao hổ.
Ôi, cảm ơn về sao? 7. Con đó, tôi sẽ làm
Ada detail, make up yang sangat nanti yang ada dasarnya.
Trên học chi nhỉ?
Okay.
Học chi.
Cho người cầm.
Bay nhưng mà bay. Tập